If a real life Disclosure Day were to happen, I feel like it'd be more impactful like 30 years ago. Nowadays, you tell me that aliens are real, I would just be wondering if they're going to take over or not. Because, yeah, no, this leadership ain't doing too great. So, Disclosure Day is the latest film by Steven Spielberg. If you don't know who that is, I don't know what you're doing here. Steven Spielberg is the father of summer blockbuster films. He's given us classics such as Jaws, Jurassic Park, Schindler's List, Empire of the Sun, Amistad, The Color Purple, Saving Private Ryan, all of the Indiana Jones movies. To pick your favorite, E.T., another one I didn't mention, but another yet classic film that he gave us. To pick your favorite Steven Spielberg movie is like picking your favorite child. You definitely could do it, but you're going to feel super guilty after you admit it. The film stars Emily Blunt, Colin Firth, Josh O'Connor, and Coleman Domingo. And it also brings back John Williams as the music composer. To have Spielberg and Williams back at it again is such a great feeling. These two have given us so many classic moments in film with the music. When you're talking about Jurassic Park, and you mentioned the scene where Sam Neill sees the Stegosaurus for the first time, and that score comes and plays. Oh my God, it's such a wonderful feeling, and it's the reason why I love movies. I love the feeling that Steven Spielberg movies give me, and so much of that has to do with John Williams' score. Whether we're talking Indiana Jones, whether we're talking Jaws, so many moments in cinematic history are due to these two working together, and they're back at it again with Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day is a UFO conspiracy movie brought to us by Steven Spielberg. UFO alien movies and Steven Spielberg go hand in hand like burgers and fries. He's given us, E.T., he's given us Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He's just that guy when it comes to aliens. And he gets to do it again in the year of 2026. It's a UFO conspiracy movie about I'm trying not to give too much away just because I feel like the whole movie has been clouded in mystery since the first poster. Even the trailers don't give too much away. So I'm trying to keep that up so that I don't spoil anything. This is Josh O'Connor and Emily Blunt's characters have a secret connection that they don't know about to both themselves and to, you know, aliens that are planning to come to Earth and kind of use them as vessels to kind of get their message across. And you also have Colin Firth's company Woodex being like the guys in black, the guys that aren't with the military but kind of are military that are just trying to stop them from doing what they're trying to do. And yeah, that's the film without going into much. Now, explaining everything across the board. You have Academy level actors. You have Steven Spielberg, you have John Williams, and you have, the topic of aliens, which is something that Steven Spielberg excels at. This should be, and it's, put out during the summer, this should be one of the best films of the year. And that's why, as much as I've been hyping everything up, it disappoints me so much to say that it's not, at least for me. This movie so far has been my biggest disappointment of the year. I was super excited for this one, but it did not do it for me. Now, before I get into the negatives, I gotta mention Emily Blunt's performance in this is probably her best. She is phenomenal in this movie. Her character has so many layers. She has to do so many things and not make it seem corny, not make it seem forced, but instead natural and at the same time unnatural because the aliens are kind of using her, like I mentioned, as a vessel to communicate to humans. And so sometimes her movements and the way she speaks isn't her, and she's aware of that. And we kind of get to see her freak out at that, but also excel at it. She does so great. So all the flowers that she's going to get for this movie, she 100% deserves. If she gets a Best Actress nomination at the Academy Awards, I will not complain because out of all the negatives in this movie, she is probably the biggest positive. Another positive is the score. I really did like it, even though if it's not as memorable as E.T., as Jaws, as Indiana Jones, we're not getting another Jurassic Park score here. What we're getting is a more, I kind of want to say subtle. score, it goes hand in hand with what we're seeing on the screen. It's very imaginative. It's very like in awe of what we're seeing. Um, and yeah, the rest of the movie is not it. Steven Spielberg excels at what he usually does, which is, making you feel an emotion that he wants you to feel, through whatever you're seeing. So, for example, if he wants you to feel thrill and shock, well, we have an amazing car chase and train sequence, and we get those emotions as we're watching it. If he wants you to feel captivated and enticed, you feel that during the scenes that you're supposed to feel it. But the plot, the story, and the script just aren't there. It feels like this script needed like 10 more revisions before it made its way onto the big screen. Yeah, this story has so many plot holes, so many things that don't make sense. By the time I'm watching the third act, I'm hearing so many critics and people say that they love the third act. I couldn't disagree more. By the time we get to the third act, I'm more like hands in my face wondering how did we get here? And then, not to mention, this movie can be so awkward at times with certain movements. I'm not exaggerating. There's a scene towards the end where Colin Firth and his group of goons are walking through doors to get to where, Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, and everyone else is. And it's so awkward. It feels like a Disney Channel original movie level of production. Like, I honestly don't know what it is. I don't know what happened, but this movie isn't subtle at all. It's about as subtle as a ton of bricks hitting you in the face. If you need to understand that a bad guy has a gun, the way you find out he has a gun is he's driving and he lifts his gun. He's showing it off before he does anything. Yeah, no, I don't know what happened. Like things like that are what bug me the most. The awkward silence when the group of goons are walking through the door, and there's supposed to be this big revelation moment, this big, oh well, now the world's gonna find out, and it's not intriguing, it's not captivating. Those scenes are where I felt the most awkward, unnatural presence in the whole movie. And then the third act, the ending, without going into it too much, is one of the most out of left field, no explanation endings I've seen in a while, and it left a bad taste in my mouth. I actually saw this movie Thursday. It is currently Saturday when I'm doing this and uploading it. I wanted to give it like 2 days to think it over and, maybe look over some of the plot holes, and maybe I missed something. Maybe, I didn't think things through, but no, I feel like time just made it worse. I just sat with my thoughts more and just kind of thought, well, I mean, why did this happen? Why did that happen? Like, no, this movie did not do it for me. It's gonna go down as probably my biggest disappointment of the year, and that's saying a lot when we have a year when there was a new Maggie Gyllenhaal movie, The Bride came out, that disappointed me. We had a new Scream movie that disappointed me. But Disclosure Day, I'm not gonna say it's not a bad film, but it's just not what I'm used to with Spielberg. I understand that he doesn't want to do the classic blockbuster with this. This isn't a Jaws and ET where it's big, grandiose, and spectacle. He's trying to be more subtle with it. There are questions that he's asking that I think the film would have been better if we led more with those questions and we leaned into them. Questions like, well, if we reveal that aliens are real, what does that mean for religion? What does that mean to society? How are people going to react? There's also like this whole other plot going on in the background of the world ending, which is like the countries are going to war, and so the world is ending according to you know the grand population, and everyone's freaking out. But we don't really know how that plays into the plot. It's just kind of going on in the background. Yeah, no. Yeah, no. If we were to have leaned more into the idea of, you know, what will aliens being on Earth mean, which is like the central topic at the heart of the movie, but it's not explored. Like we ask the questions, and we kind of get like very thinly veiled answers, but there's nothing concrete. We're not really focused on that. Instead, when we're focused on the mission, of getting Emily Blunt and Josh O'Connor to transmit their message worldwide. And I don't know, I feel like I would have much preferred to have seen the movie where we do ask the question of, what happens to religion? What happens to society? How do people react? We ask these questions throughout the film and we never see it. We never see how people react. We never get those questions answered. We get, like I said, we get thinly veiled answers that feel, half-assed. They weren't really the focus of the film. And so I'm left with, I kind of want to see that movie instead of this. I don't really care about the mission. I care more about, you know, the bigger moral questions that this leaves. And yeah, I'm just left disappointed. There's also this MacGuffin device in the movie that was so frustrating to watch and see how they used. It feels like it used its power was used for whatever the plot needed it to be. Like there was no real sense as to how the device worked. We just know that whatever the character who was using it needed, they got. That was it. Yeah, no, unfortunately, I can't recommend Disclosure Day. This movie left me feeling like I needed to see a good alien movie, so I'd recommend instead you watch E.T., watch Nope, watch Arrival. Those films do what this movie did, but actually great. It actually feels like Steven Spielberg watched Arrival and thought, yeah, I can do that. But yeah, no, unfortunately he didn't, which is super disappointing, but oh well, on to the next. Thank you so much for watching. Leave your thoughts and, theories, whatever you thought about the movie in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.